Hello from Singapore, and welcome to Breezy Talks with Spiffy, where we discuss all things personality, style, fashion, aging, wellness, body positivity, and much more. I am Astha, founder of Spiffy and host of this episode, Look Great and Elevate. What we are going to talk about, especially in this episode, is what are some of the simple ways you can use to elevate your personal brand. And today I have a very special guest. Okay, every guest is special, but this one is really special because I have a certain relationship with her, which I'll reveal in a bit. And she is joining us all the way from Munich. Miss Meera Ramani. She is a certified coach who has been coaching some leaders, senior management teams from organizations across the globe. And prior to being a coach, she also carries 2 decades of corporate experience working with some of the big brands like P&G and Amazon. Now, coming to my relationship with her, I would say having first-hand experience of coaching with Meera, I can just say what a fantastic ride it had been. And really, it has been a turnaround for me in terms of how I approach life, obstacles, or in general, embracing positivity, which I think Meera just carries it so beautifully. And how she does it, I don't know. There's a secret sauce to it, which she did reveal to me. But yeah, so welcome, Meera, and thank you so much for coming on board and agreeing to be part of this and sharing some of the pearls of your wisdom that you have gained over the years with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Asta. Great to be here, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for the lovely introduction.
Of course, you deserve it.
Thank you.
So, Meera, everyone is glad that pandemic is over and life is sort of back to new normal. However, what I'm seeing or what I hear from my friends and colleagues around that people have sort of forgotten how to dress up. And especially at workplace, people are so used to, the remote working environment, and not to mention that internet is full of jokes or memes around how people dress up during these remote video calls. So let me start with this whole bit of maintaining that sharp physical presence on screen, if we really talk in that digital world. What do you think of people who downplay this dress up thing? Is it okay just because it's more forgiving now? Or what are some of the basics one should be aware of?
Great question. I would think of the pandemic as having us, hit the reset button on a lot of fronts, including dressing. It's given us a time to pause and sort of, even in terms of dressing, slip into comfort zones. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how we leverage it. And as a coach, I always say, leverage the best in all situations. Now, when it comes to virtual meetings, what I see a lot of people do one is not even turn their camera on. Right? That to me is a big no no. You have to be in the room. Now, when you talk about personal branding, which I work with a lot of my clients on, obviously the basic necessity is you have your camera on, you be visible, but then be very careful about how you present yourself on the screen. A lot of my clients or a lot of people listening to the show are ambitious people, I'm assuming. They want to have the best of their life potential expressed. So that means you have to use every opportunity. I'm saying you have to use, you're encouraged to use every opportunity. So that means also every interaction is an opportunity to leave a great mark on another person. Now, I'm not saying you have to be dressed, to all the nines and have all the makeup and expensive jewelry and Chanel bags, but there are certain basic necessities. So, for example, when you're on the screen, you just exude that vibe. So many famous studies have said that your body language is more important than what comes out of your mouth. And of course, when you switch on the screen, it's you that people are seeing, right? So that
Yeah.
is why the way we show up with our body, the confidence that we exude, all of that is important. Now, when I talk about confidence is where I segue into the clothes topic or how you present and appear, because a lot of times, and a lot of people have written about it. Studies have shown that when you're well dressed, when
Mm-hmm.
you feel well dressed, when you feel well presented, your confidence goes up. I know that for a truth, for myself, for my clients, people I've worked with in corporate, the leaders I work with, etc. Like, look at you right now. You're all dressed, nicely dressed. It's a beautiful top. You have your hair done. You're smiling. The presentability is a 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
So that means, if you are sitting in a crowd of people, let's say there are 20 people on the screen or 10 people on the screen, my eyes, whatever bias you call it, will naturally gravitate to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of my clients say that, when I'm in meetings, I never get heard or seen. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying you have to put the flashiest of makeup or wear the, amazing clothes, but just have the basics, right? Have a nice crisp shirt or a nice blouse. Make sure your hair is combed. You have a tiny bit of jewelry to accentuate your look. A favorite piece of jewelry. For me, this is the watch that,
Mm-hmm.
I go to. So a few bit of basics would really go a long way. So I'm
Yeah.
going to stop now. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did, and you are spot on because I remember when pandemic began, I used to be very casual about the whole showing up on the video, and I used to be just in my t-shirt. And then I specifically recall there was an instance I had a meeting with a senior leader in my organization, and when she opened up her video and she was like in nice earrings, and she was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god, like, if she can put an effort of whatever 5 to 10 minutes in looking a certain way, why can't I do it? And from then on, I just started putting in a certain bit of effort, like as you said, you don't have to go crazy about it, but like a small bit of routine around it. And I could sense the difference in way you sit for the meetings. It's
Mhm.
because, when you are in a t-shirt vis-a-vis when you are in a nice blouse and your hair is nicely done, you feel the difference in your energy levels.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the times, when I work with senior leaders who are my clients, I work on their body language, right? We've worked on that ourselves as well. So, body language is important, and confidence and body language go hand in hand. And clothes, like you said, just elevates the sense. Because if I'm sitting here in a shabby top, right, I just send a very subconscious signal to you that I'm not prepared, or I'm just taking it
Mm.
easy, or I'm not structured. For example, when we're talking about corporations, or like working in an organization, we want to assure each other, whether
Hmm.
the person sitting in front of me is my subordinate or my senior leader, that hey, I mean business, I'm here, I'm organized, I'm ready to go. If I come across in like a like a crumpled t-shirt, it sends a totally different subconscious vibe. Now, certain organizations might have a very relaxed dress code, but still
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that like have crumpled t-shirts or those with the holes in it. Just put an effort. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's a ritual. It's a probably a 5-minute thing. Over a period of time, it might even become lesser because it becomes more subconscious the more you do it, and it becomes easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love when you said that constant assurance, that how when you present yourself in a certain way, you send out this signal that I am here for business. I mean something. Take me seriously. So I love it when you said that it's like a form of giving a constant assurance or a reassurance to all the stakeholders that I am serious. I mean business. I love this bit.
Oh, love it. And it's also the brand, right? Over a period of time, that is the brand you create. It's consistent with the quality of your work, the quality of your presence, the quality of the speech that come out of your mouth, like conversations,
Yeah.
everything forms your brand.
Right. Right. Now, if we come back to the real physical world, how do you think one can establish that kind of commanding presence in the room? Because are the rules different from how you are in the digital world or how you are in the physical world? Because people are already making assumptions about you without you even uttering a word. Like when you enter a meeting room, people already have formulated some sort of opinion about you. So, any thoughts or any ideas on how one can build that kind of commanding presence?
Thanks for the question. It's a very good question about commanding presence. And as I work on personal branding for leaders, this is a very important aspect. And I say that commanding presence is an external manifestation of something very internal to us, that sense of self esteem and personal power. We have to absolutely, a person has to be absolutely sure of the value they bring to the world and embrace it. So that's that self esteem, confidence bit that everybody needs to work on. And that's a foundational aspect of my work as a coach. Now, along with that, there is a power of body language. When a
Mm-hmm.
person is confident, they give you eye contact. They don't look away, they don't slouch, they don't shrug away. They take up space. There is an expanded body language. The spine is erect, the shoulders are upright in a very natural way, not like a stick, right? And I'm,
Mm-hmm.
we're using hand gestures, but not too much. But that's that there's that feeling of expansion, comfort that you see in the person. Now, that is what I tell people about. Even before you open your mouth in a meeting or you walk
Mm.
into a room, it's that presence. You walk with, an upright body posture, you're looking at people, maintaining eye contact, smiling. That already sends a message that, hey, Asta is walking in the room. Let's look at her. She's turning heads and she has this commanding presence. But
Mm-hmm.
where does that come from? That comes from that total self esteem you have in yourself. Now, clothes play an important part. It can elevate or degrade. First it starts with the mindset. If I walk into a room where I'm, let's say, in shabby clothes or not so well dressed, and everybody else is well dressed, in suits or
Looking
dressed.
sharp. Yeah.
Right. That for example, the event has a theme, for instance. You walk in, you have to speak the language. Like it's
Yeah.
it's metaphor I would use is, if you walk into a room full of Bengalis, you might as well speak Bengali. You can't speak Marathi and get away.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
let's say 100 years back, where probably 300 years back when English was not common. So, but anyway, so you have to speak that subconscious language of the room
Yeah.
as well in terms of clothes. So it of course plays on the psyche of others, but it also elevates your psyche, saying
Yeah.
that, "Hey, I belong," right?
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying it doesn't have to be expensive, thousands of euros or dollars worth of clothes, but any dress or cloth or suit that makes you feel comfortable, stylish, elegant. These are all values we want to live as a brand. So reflect those in our clothes as well.
Yeah. Again, I love that bit when you touched upon that. Of course, first bit is that self belief, but then also going with the purpose of that I belong, like I belong here. So it's so important to go with that theme, or with that thought in your head.
Absolutely, because a lot of senior leaders or mid-level managers or at any level, what I see is there is a lot of imposter syndrome. What is a classic case of imposter syndrome? I don't belong. I don't belong
Mm,
here. I look or feel like a fake. I'm not good
mm,
enough. So if clothing can be a hack, right,
mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
help you feel a little bit more confident than usual, then why not? We all
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, studies have shown that there is a dopamine release when you get a haircut done or when you get your manicure done. So it's the same way when you dress up nicely, you feel a certain way.
Absolutely. I remember back in the days when I was a PNG, I think a decade ago, one of my direct reports, she would dress up particularly nice on, I think it was Tuesdays when there were senior leader meetings. She said that when I dress up that way, I feel more confident. I speak
Mm,
more confidently, and because she's so confident and relaxed, words and thoughts flow more easily. She doesn't get so intimidated. So she
right.
used to power dress especially well on Tuesdays.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, but I would also, because since you're talking about senior leadership and you have been extensively coaching them, have you noticed any kind of difference in, let's say, how a senior leader or vis-a-vis, let's say, a medium management layer? Do you see any difference in terms of how they conduct themselves, how they show up to work, how they present themselves, or are there any distinctions?
Hmm. There are distinctions, especially when it comes to, let's say, an aspirational level. There are people we say, oh, he or she is a charming leader. I look up to her. Look at her or him leading that business, right? I remember when my first job was at ICICI Bank, and on that first day of induction came in Chanda Kochar. And if you know her, She would have these amazing saris, she would have a long flowing hair, all well,
Yeah.
like very well
Yeah.
dressed, right?
Yeah.
And she had that commanding presence, the charm, and she obviously knew her business. She's smart, but this added an extra layer of charm to her and oomph, from a
Right.
leadership level. So, if you are aspiring, or some of the leaders I see who are aspirational, really take care of course, their business and technical expertise, but how they formulate their sentences, how they dress up. So of course I see that difference. But what is also interesting is, in the middle level, or lesser, like let's say junior level employees, a lot of times they wait till they, like, I will dress that way when I become when I
Mm,
get that level of that role. So we keep
mm.
waiting. But
Right.
what I teach in my leadership programs is, okay, you want to be partner CXO in X months or X years, you have to absolutely think like that at that
Mm,
level. You have to think and feel at that level and start contributing value to the organization at that level. And that also means that you dress and feel and talk at that level as much as possible, right?
mm,
This is not
mm,
about faking it again. This
mm.
is about how can I
Belief.
put myself, yeah, how can I put myself into the shoes of that, role model or mentor or CXO who I admire from afar. What are some qualities I can imbibe? Sharper dressing, probably, better choice of words, power
Mm,
words, how you look at the business, not just in silos, but as a organizational whole organization. So it brings a different quality to your
right.
leadership skills, your presence. I'm again reminded of a colleague I had back at Amazon, and she quickly rose up the ranks. She had 4 promotions in 6 years or something like that, trailblazer, and she was absolutely great at her work. But I also remember the way she dressed. There is a way
Mm,
she command presence. Exact again. So now she is in senior leadership, and I'm not saying the clothes are what made the senior leadership.
yeah.
It definitely has a part. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yes. I mean, as they say, and I have kind of done that exercise with you, where we specifically touched upon the topic that you don't dress up for the job that you have, but you dress up for the one that you want to have. So it's again the whole aspirational element attached to it. And the whole visualization exercise that you made us do. I don't know if you want to share a little bit on that visualization perspective. I think it'll be really helpful.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick summary, right? So visualization, like you rightly said, it's just about um, that aspirational level. Let that not be a level that is far to reach. Bring that
Hmm.
closer, right? Draw it closer by saying, "Hey, this is my next level, or where I want to be X number of years from now," and draw that closer. What does that mean? Look at people or inspirational role models in the same industry, same company, and look at what are they doing differently that make them capable of that level, capable of
Hmm.
delivering value at that level as a technical business expertise. And
Yeah.
also, what are the qualities they possess? Confidence, excellent communication, ability to command presence, the way they command presence when they show up, even if in virtual meetings. There is something to them. Like, be very curious about what are those qualities, and say,
Hmm.
do I have some of those qualities already, even if at a rudimentary level? Can I
Hmm.
strengthen those either by myself or with the help of a coach or a mentor? So
Hmm.
this is about really framing that vision. And let's say it's your version 2.0. Really,
Yeah.
this is my version 2.0. This is how she feels, she walks, she thinks, she acts at work. This is how she shows up at work. This is how she takes care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this is the brand that she wants to be known as, right?
Yeah.
So really bring that version alive today.
Yeah.
So that is a
Yeah.
visualization. Of course, we have a guided meditation where we connect with that version, and then you step into that every single day, which I do on a personal basis every single day. So that,
Yeah.
I approach problems, solving them at a different with a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I did that because, as you said, it kind of helps you get going because once you do that, that image kind of gets stuck in your head with as many details as possible. So, like, what's the color of the skirt? What are the kind of heels you're wearing? How does your hair look like? How many people are in the room? And that image somehow just get stuck in your mind, and it becomes part of your version management or your goal. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I can vouch that
You
it
lock in
helps.
that version and the feeling associated with it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But okay, this was great. And lastly, I would just want to get your last feedback or comment on how to build personal brand. Like, do you just ask your friends for help? Do you hire a stylist? Do you go by trial and error approach? Like, if you really want to work on that bit about yourself, because there are like different bits to it, as you said, speech, looking a certain way, or thinking a certain way. So, if I just now confine about looking a certain way, what would you recommend, or what has been your approach, if you can share that with us?
Mm. So I'll share my approach in the sense that personal brand is a very broad topic, and there are
Hmm.
certain low-hanging fruits which you can quickly incorporate. But let's say you're trying to build a six-pack abs and a fantastically fit body, you would actually enroll into a gym or even enroll, have a personal trainer or coach who can accelerate that journey for you. Because
Yeah,
sometimes you might, that also requires a nutritionist. If you want to know, okay, I feel tired after working out, and these are real stories from my own life, right? When I started
yeah.
my personal fitness journey, I started getting tired. Then I enrolled, the support of a nutritionist, which made a lot of difference. So I am
Mm.
somebody who believes in finding the shortest and surest path, not taking shortcuts. They are all still hard, but still,
Yeah,
can I have an expert to help me because it reduces the churn and confusion and anxiety and all of that. Now,
absolutely.
applying the same metaphor in terms of personal brand as a person, right? There are so many elements. This is about your mindset, which
Mm.
is how you think, what you believe about yourself and your chances in the world. That the whole mindset and belief system that you hold, your psyche, very, very important, and how you work on that, your body language, how you interact with other people, what you choose to communicate to whom, and with what level of details. How do you engage the other person in a conversation? How do you create a network of support system? So for me as a leadership coach, as you know, there are these pillars that really are absolutely essential. Now,
Mm.
when it comes to the subset of that, which is how you dress, how you show up, your body language, etc., again, that is something we cover in our program. But at the minimum, what one needs to understand is what is that intersection of the kind of clothes, or how I show up, hair, makeup, whatever, jewelry. What is that intersection where I'm both comfortable and I strike the kind of brand that I want to build? Am do I want to be known as crisp and elegant, right?
Mm.
Stylish and I don't know, stylish and unfussy, or clean and
Mm.
simple? Figure out
Mhm.
your value system
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
firstly, and that would reflect in your clothes because that's your brand. So
Yeah.
I would say follow people like you, Astha, Spiffy, because you talk a lot about clothes, dressing. What are the baby steps one can take? As a coach, I talk about baby steps, right? Build your basics when it comes to your clothing. Build the basic wardrobe, the basic
Mm.
color, basic styles. And then, nowadays online, there are so many options to find some classes where you can learn basic makeup, hair care,
Yeah.
right? So that is where I would start. For me personally, I think I was pretty okay at an average level. I knew how to like present myself, but then I've always looked up to people, right? Stylists,
Yeah.
how they style clothes, simplicity. One of my values is simplicity.
Mm.
I don't like too many things and all of that. So for me, that how can I create an elegant, classic, chic? These are my values.
Mm.
Wardrobe with minimal elements and still show up every day at my best. So that
Right.
is my approach. So I have off late, off late this year and end of last year, I've hired a stylist. I'm working with her to really understand what suits my body, and experiment a little bit. But I'm not even saying everybody needs that. This for me has been a fun investment, sort of like a gift to myself.
Nice. I liked when you said that you also define values for your wardrobe, because classic or chic or crisp or polished or, you know,
Adventurous or out
yeah,
there.
I know, yeah. Like there are some people who love to wear, those nice accessories, and that's really like their
Yeah,
highlight, and everybody loves it. I mean, because that's them. And then there are some people who are very simple yet very smart. So I think what you touched upon is that define the value of your wardrobe as well. Like, how do you want to be known as, or talked about as? So this was great. And
absolutely.
yeah.
Just an add on to that, Astha, a lot of times people try to ape other people just because they have a certain style. But if
Yeah.
I personally love to, like, the what is this Bollywood actor married to Deepika Padukone, Ranveer Singh, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he has his outrageous colors and he wears his random stuff. For me,
Yeah.
it's random, but he totally rocks it, right? You can see
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
absolutely in his comfort zone, right? For
Yeah.
example, but for example, Shah Rukh Khan has a totally different style. So
Yeah.
if Ranveer Singh were to ape Shah Rukh Khan's style, it would have totally fell flat on the face because he wouldn't have the joy of wearing those colors.
Yeah.
And vice versa, Shah Rukh Khan would feel like probably he looks like a clown. I'm not saying that he looks like a clown, but for everybody there is a different set of values. And if we
Yeah.
can really honor that, for example, if you love colors, if you like outrageous jewelry, then see how you can incorporate that into your wardrobe
Yeah.
without trying to fit in, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
also the joy of living,
Yeah.
being
Yeah. Yeah.
your personality and brand out.
Yeah. So yeah, don't try to fit in and find your voice. And with this, we come to the end. And Meera talks a lot of these interesting stuff on her own channel. You can follow her on Instagram, LinkedIn. We'll put in the links later. And yeah, she has great content. So just make sure you subscribe to it. And thank you very much, Meera. This was really, I loved it. And specifically for me, the highlight of this episode was when you said that a lot of people think that I will dress up a certain way when I reach that level, but that's not something we should do. We should start right now and not think, okay, I'll do this once I become a VP or a, like a director or whatever. So start now. I think that's the
Absolutely.
key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the lovely chat. I enjoyed this as well, Astha. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Meera.